Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Wisconsin Hugs. My name is Tony Grillo. I had to work Sunday, and so they wanted me to take a load of published materials or something, or publishing materials, books or paper or whatever, and I had to haul it over here to this warehouse for this printing company over here in Topeka. And so I haven't been to Topeka in a long time. I have not run to Kansas, but so it's a pretty good drive. It's probably close to 600 miles. I believe it is over 600. Last night I drove yesterday I drove 580. I took off. I was probably on the road. I got on the road early. I was on the road for a Sunday. I was on the road about 10:30, and over here in Lawrence, right here, there's this service center, and that's where I spent the night there. It's a very nice service center. And then I had a short drive over here. I got a little mixed up with the toll booth. I wasn't sure which way to go. I was supposed to jump on when I got over here by Topeka. I was supposed to jump on to 470, and I got mixed up, and I was still stuck on 70, so I had to take the next road over and come across. But they charged me, what was it, I think it was like $11.50 to drive my semi truck on the toll pike, the Kansas toll pike, and so yeah, 470, and there I am, that little blue dot right there. This is where I am. This is an industrial park over here, and off of University Drive, and I'm along this stretch of road here. So there's my truck, and you could see this is just, it's like all warehouses, and there's a young nice kid came out, and he's unloading my truck right now. And so yeah, this is where we're at. There's DJ. Hi DJ, how you doing, buddy? Hey DJ, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, he's just happy to get out of the truck. Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day. I suppose, I don't know if you guys want to see my face or not. I could flip it over. How you doing? So here we are, Topeka, Kansas. So I don't even know what the history of Topeka is, but we're right by Kansas City, home of the Super Bowl champs, Patrick Mahomes. I have not seen Patrick at all. I gave him a call, told him I was coming out here. I'm just kidding. So anyways, wouldn't that be fun though, to meet Patrick Mahomes? That'd be pretty cool. Guy is awesome. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing, and hope you all have a great day. Maybe if I see some other interesting sites, I'll throw them on here on this video, show you a little bit of my journey out here. All right, okay, but there's nothing real exciting in this spot of Topeka. All right, everybody, I'll see if I can make some more video. So, on my channel here, I do lots of different things. I like to spoof things, and I made a spoof video the other day, and it's not getting any reaction. I did it on Corey Richins. I thought it was hilarious, and it's only got like 17 views and not a single comment, and so it's like, oh my god, I thought it was funny as hell. But I did come up with the idea when I was sitting in a hospital. Family member was in the ER, and we were waiting for the hospital to release him, and that's when I came up with the idea. I thought about, what if Corey had written a second book, and what would inspire her to do that? And that's how the whole idea came about. And I thought it was funny, But that's the way it goes. It's a little disheartening when you put a lot of work into something and nobody says nothing, and it doesn't get a reaction, and then you're like, well, I guess it's not that good, because if it was good, you all would let me know. And if it's not very good, then you're nice enough not to leave me any bad comments. But and I appreciate that. But sometimes it's nice to even get bad comments, because at least you're like, okay, at least I got a reaction. I guess it's like Andy Kaufman. Everybody, you either loved him or you hated him. And if your younger generation don't know who he is, well, he was the kind of guy who would he'd get up on stage and he'd read The Great Gatsby, and then he waited to see how long it would take before the entire place would empty out. Usually he did that at college campuses, and his philosophy was that the audience was there to amuse him and not the other way around. He had a really weird philosophy on Hollywood, on life, on entertaining. The audience was there to entertain him, and many times he loved to pull pranks on the audience. Like, he would call up some lady and say, hey, happy birthday, I just want to bring you up here, and then she'd have a heart attack right there on the stage, and everybody'd be freaking out because she was, everybody thought she was going to die, and it turned out the whole thing was a prank. But anyways, one person did write me a comment which I thought was hilarious. She says, I did a video on Corey and her attorney. Now, I think her attorney's brilliant. Her attorney, Sky Lazaro's brilliant attorney. I'm so impressed with that attorney. And so I think that attorney alone is what's going to make this case very interesting, because if she's basically, when she's in the courtroom, she's like, I'm going through everything, and the only reason I'm asking questions is I just want to make it clear to the entire court what's going on here, so that we have a clear picture. And that's the only reason I'm asking questions. And I love the way she does that. And somebody said, you just jammer all the time. You jabbered, and let us make the decision. Well, there are a lot of channels that do that, where they just put up film and they don't make a comment. And if whoever wrote that comment in there, I appreciate your comments, because I know I do jabber a lot, sometimes too much. I mean, even my girlfriend does that, and I know one girl I dated, she said that she used to listen to me on YouTube just so she could fall asleep. So anyways, but I am a storyteller. I published a book. If you don't know that, my book is called Cucumbers the Rabbit. You can see it on Amazon. Wrote it for my daughter. It's the only reason I wrote a book. I didn't go to college to be an author. That I never thought I'd ever write anything. But then when you're a father and you have a little girl and she loves books, and some of the books you're reading, they're just like really lame, and we were coming across a lot of lame children's books out there. And I remember one day I was telling my daughter, I said, I think we can come up with something better. And so that's what we did. We put our money to our mouth, became a father-daughter project, and I would run ideas past her, and for some reason, like in Easter, one night she just said, hey, Dad, I don't want to read any books. I'm too tired. I just want to leave the light off. I just want you to tell me a story, make up one, And so I did. I made up this. It was Easter. We just got done watching Incredible Hulk, and we had a cucumber salad with steak. And that's how Cucumbers the Rabbit was born, because it was Easter, And so Cucumbers the Rabbit winds up helping out the Easter Bunny. And that was the whole, story there. He swapped out Easter eggs for cucumbers, and that was kind of the joke. Every good story should have kind of a joke in there. I'm been told I have a wild sense of humor, but and that's how I kind of ended the story. And my daughter loved it, absolutely loved it. And the next day she's like, hey, you got any more stories about that green rabbit? And then the book just grew from there. It's almost a 400-page 20 short story novel, you know. I self-published it because nobody was interested in. Yeah, I'm an unknown writer. Nobody has ever heard of me, and so I self-published it, and I just did it just so it was out there for her, you know. So there's a book there, and I put her as co-author, so her name is listed there because I would have never wrote that book without her. You know, I bounce ideas off her. She'd tell me if she liked it or not. If she didn't like it, she'd tell me to go back to the start. I remember one time I told her, I want to do a spoof story on Star Wars, but I want to do it with Cucumbers the Rabbit and all his characters. And, because I love Star Wars. And she goes, my daughter says to me, she's only like 6 or 7, she goes, oh, Dad, Star Wars has been done to death. Pick a different movie. She says, I like the idea of a spoof, movie, doing a spoof movie with the characters, but pick a different movie. And it was just so happened Road Warrior was on TV, and Mel Gibson. And I thought, I think I could do that. I think I could take my characters and put them in the Road Warrior world. Because I have Cucumbers the Rabbit, he could be Mad Max, and I had a car, Mustang Sally, and so I thought I'm just gonna put Cucumbers the Rabbit and Mustang Sally together, and they're gonna be traveling in this road warrior world, and it's actually a pretty decent story. I really liked it when I finished it. So. Anywho, I am a big time storyteller, but this is the one story I thought I would share with you. This is a real life story. Long time ago, I'm not going to give out any names, and here's another thing too. I don't know if it's 100% true. I believe it is, but I've never been able to verify. As far as from other witnesses or sources or anything that this really happened. The only thing you got is a newspaper clipping that told the ultimate ending, but it didn't. It's well. Why don't I just tell the story, and then and like that girl said, why don't you just play the video and let us just make our own decision? So that's kind of what I'll do here. I had about, 10, 12 years ago, I was in Minneapolis, and I was hanging out with a childhood friend that I hadn't seen for 20, 30 years. And so I went and picked him up at his house because he didn't have a driver's license, and he came out and hung out with us, and me and my cousin Jerry Grillo. And anyways, we were talking. I had to drive him home, and I was talking to him, and I'm like, so what have you been up to, your whole life? This kid is a genius. He's genius IQ, and anyways, he was like, well, Tony, I did get into trouble. I wound up in jail and had to serve some time for a while, and apparently he got into I think a fight or something. This kid could throw some punches. He was on the football team. I got into a fight once with him when I was a kid, and I was an athlete too. I was a hockey player, and I played football too. Me and him played football together. But he was a lineman, and I was like a second string quarterback, so he was a little bit bigger than me. And so anyways, he had to serve some time in jail because of this assault charge that he got on him. And then he got out, he met a wonderful girl, he got married, and so he's been doing pretty well in that department, and he's gotten into like photography, so he loves taking pictures of birds, and that kind of calms him down, keeps him calm and stuff. And he's also had to learn how to manage his temper, and he learned that through the prison rehabilitation programs. But so anyways, I was talking to me, and then I said, because he's doing good now, and we're talking, and then we started talking about kids that we grew up with. And I asked him, I'm not going to name this kid's name, okay? I asked him, hey, whatever happened to such and such? And because we grew up with this kid, and Glenn was talking about his temper and how he had to go to jail and everything because of it. This kid had a really bad temper, just awful temper. He was just the nastiest kid in our school. He was always, and he was big too, which that really sucked because you didn't want to mess with him because he'd kick your ass. And so he was always getting into fights with everybody and beating everybody up. And nobody liked this kid. Nobody liked him at all in our school. I remember elementary school growing up. I was relieved when I wound up going to a different high school. At that time, we had cities shared elementary schools and junior highs, and then you went to the high school that you lived in. Okay, looks like I think they got my truck emptied out here. So yeah, they're done unloading me. So I'll have to get back to the story in a sec here. Yeah, they just finished my trailer, so dispatch isn't sure yet where they're sending me, so I got a few minutes here. I'm going to finish this story. Um, so I asked my friend that we were in the car together. I was driving back to his house in Minneapolis, and I said, "Hey, whatever happened to such and such person?" And this other guy, and he goes, "Oh, Tony, you don't know?" And I'm like, "No, because I've lived in 5 different states, and I kind of lost touch with everybody." And it's what, 20 some years later, 30 years later, yeah, almost 30 years later, and I'm finally back in Wisconsin. I joined Facebook, and I've been getting in touch with everybody again. And so I have no idea what's happened to everybody. And he goes, "Well, this person's dead." I'm like, "What? Really?" "Well, do you know what happened?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I know what happened." I'm like, "Well, tell me." you know? And so he's like, "Well, I just I just got out of jail, like maybe a couple days out of jail, and I'd been there for a long time, and I finally got out, and um, I decided I hadn't had a beer in a long time, and I know it was a violation of my parole, but I thought I'm just gonna go to the bowling alley real quick, and I'm just gonna have a quick beer, grab a quick beer, and then get the heck out of there." And I went inside, and I was having a beer, and lo and behold, that kid was there. They weren't kids anymore; they were both adults, and he was there too. This our childhood bully, pain in the ass kid that we had to grow up with in school, uh, and so he goes. The guy was still a dick, like he was as a kid, still an asshole. And I'm like, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Yeah, he saw me there, and he wanted to pick a fight with me, you know." And I told him, "I can't." He says, I'm not even." I told him, I said, "I just got out of jail. I can't do this." He goes, "If I'm on parole. If I have one screw up, I'm not even supposed to be in this bar having a beer. But if I have one screw up, they're gonna lock me up for the rest of my life. So don't do this. Don't, I just can you just please not do this? Don't start anything." The guy would not lay off. He was as dick then now as he was back when he was a kid. Now he knew he had my friend in a corner, and he wouldn't let up. And basically he you know my friend thought, I'm just going to get the hell out of here. I got to get out of here because he's raising a scene and people are raising a commotion. Somebody's going to call the cops. I got to get out of here. So he basically got the heck out of there, and he walked out of the place, and in the parking lot he was attacked by the other guy, the dickhead guy, and he got the crap beat out of him because he's like, he didn't want to fight back because it would have been a violation of his parole. He just wanted to go home. He just wanted to go home, and he got the crap kicked out of him. And so anyways, he was on his way home, and it's funny how fate happens. Things happen. And he decided, I don't know if he decided to stop somewhere and maybe grab like something cold to put on his face. And wait, he couldn't drive. He didn't have his license. So what the hell happened? Oh, I remember what happened. He got the heck out of the bar, and he was not doing too well. And I think he went to the gas station. Yeah, that's what he told me. He went to the gas station. He wanted to buy something to get something, and he was stuck there. And it just happened that one of our friends in our neighborhood showed up. This was a kid that was in the Marine Corps. He was also on our football team. So all three of us played on the same football team together. He played tight end, and I actually threw a pass to him one time when we were kids in a game that we played in. This kid was big, though. These kids were all bigger than me, And so he was there, and now he's like, I don't know, he's a big time executive, but he also drives a Harley. He's a really cool guy, But he's served in Desert Storm. He was a Marine, and he just didn't fuck with this guy either. And he saw our friend there, our neighborhood friend, and he's like, "What the heck happened to you? What happened?" And so he told him, what happened, and the Marine guy's like, "Oh, that ain't right. That ain't right. Something's got to be done about it. He was a dick when he was a kid. He needs to be taught a lesson, that he shouldn't be messing with people. It's time to stop messing with people and grow up, We're adults now. You don't act like that as adults. And look what he did to you. It's just not right." He was pissed. So he actually drove my friend home. And then my friend told me that the very next day, he saw a story in the paper that this guy was found in the back of the bar. Apparently he was dead, and the police ruled it an accidental death because the guy was heavily intoxicated, and apparently they ruled it accidental, that he tripped and fell and banged his head and on a dumpster, and that's how he died. And that part is real, because I saw the newspaper clipping myself, and I was shocked because he showed it to me. I didn't know it happened at the time, but he had the clipping with him. When we got to his house after I dropped him off, he showed me the clipping, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, I go, what do you think happened? And he goes, well, I think that guy got a visit. And that's all he said. And so I did message the Marine guy, because I was tight with this guy growing up. We were the same age, played all sports together. And I said, I don't condone, if what I heard is true and what I figured out is true, I don't condone anything you did, and he never, he never responded to that. I know he read it, because you could see that when you message somebody. He didn't say, no, I had nothing to do with that. No, no. And he didn't say thank you or anything. He saw it. We're still friends to this day. He saw it. He read it. Didn't respond to it. Left it blank. And so I thought, wow, crazy. So that's, and what's really something is nobody talks about that kid at the reunions. You go to the reunions, nobody talks about him. That's just how big of a dick this guy was as a kid growing up, and he never learned. He was probably such an asshole that the police, they probably knew about this guy. He probably had a record. The police probably had to deal with him a million times. The police probably even knew what really happened, and they let it go. I honestly believe that's what happened. Because both my friends never got a call by the police, or the police never, no investigators ever came out to their house to ask them, hey, witnesses say, you were there at this place. Because everybody knew everybody. It was a small town. They all grew up there. There are people there, cameras there and everything. Yeah. Police didn't even go. They just wrote it up to an accident, and that's how that guy, he lived his life as an asshole, and that's the way he died, as an asshole. Nobody gave a shit. Police didn't even investigate what had happened. They just wrote it up, accident. So anyways, that's my story for all of you. I got to get back to work. Wisconsin hugs.